Welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guest on this next interview. Now, January 27th marked the 81st anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau, the largest Nazi concentration camp built in occupied Poland. Historians estimate that more than 1 million people died during the camp's 5-year existence. With survivors disappearing and worldwide anti-Semitism on the rise, preserving the truth of the Holocaust remains essential. From Poland, where much of this history unfolded, efforts continue to ensure it is neither forgotten nor distorted. Joining us today on TVP World is Alina Nowobilska, historian and an expert on Holocaust memory. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
So can we kick things off with a little bit of background when it comes to the liberation of the camp? What does it look like and what did they discover there during the liberation and what are the aftermath?
We've got to remember, Auschwitz is made up of 3 main camps and lots of sub-camps. So these sub-camps, in the meantime, before the main camps get liberated, they're also being liberated and they're finding prisoners or they're finding nothing because prisoners are being either evacuated or murdered. So this is what they're finding along the way. Then at 9 a.m, on this day, actually, they liberate Monowitz, which is the big factory that everybody sees sometimes in footage and things like that. So that's liberated first. They find practically nobody there. Then in the afternoon, and by the way, there's also battles happening in Auschwitz at the time. The Germans are trying to defend the location and things like that because they don't want anything to be found, because in the early days, literally the day before, they blow up the last crematorium. So they're trying to get rid of all evidence. But on the flip side, when they liberated Majdanek, they actually found a lot more evidence, but they're finding nothing in Auschwitz, which is really interesting. So 3 o'clock, the Soviets enter Auschwitz, and of course, the weather, that's another thing we seem to forget, we don't talk about. The weather's really harsh. It's freezing cold, close to -30. These prisoners have barely anything on. I mean, we've been out in Warsaw at -15 recently,
right.
Okay? And we're wearing...
Even with 2 jackets, I can't stand it.
Exactly, we're wearing coats and everything else. Imagine wearing, like, thin nothing, basically nothing, and these people are freezing. There's nothing in the ovens to be able to create any sense of warmth. There's 7,000 people found in Auschwitz, the main camp, the one with the Arbitmach Freigate, and in Birkenau. So, and alongside that, you've got about 700 children. So if you see the footage of the liberation, it's footage taken the days afterwards, but if you see that footage, you see the children. 700 children, they're predominantly from the experiments of Józef Mengele. People are starving, there's photographs, and by the way, these are horrific photographs. I'll let you interrupt me in just a moment. With the horrific photographs of people weighing 30 kilo, and they're completely emaciated, and I've seen the Red Cross photos, and they are so shocking that you could see a human being, practically a skeleton. Some of these people are able to survive, and some of these people die. Hundreds of people die in the following days after liberation.
Jeez, that is horrific just to think about it. Now, I would like to also move to one of the statements made by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen last night on the eve of the 81st anniversary. Quote, "A distortion of the Holocaust is being used to divide us and fuel anti-Semitism." So she also stated that 3 generations after the Holocaust, remembrance is being increasingly important. Why do you think it is becoming even more important now?
It is really important. You know what's really funny? Ironically, I read recently that the Holocaust Institute, God, I can't remember off the top of my head, in Britain, only half the schools in Britain are now commemorating the Holocaust, which to me is outstanding, that they cannot comprehend that right now it's important for us to battle this hate. And Holocaust distortion is on the rise. You see this all over social media. I mean, it's horrific. I recently wrote an article about a prisoner from Auschwitz, a very horrific prisoner from Auschwitz, and instantly I'm getting attacked left, right and centre, calling me a Jew. I mean, first of all, one, how do they know I'm Jewish? Second of all, why are you attacking me? And third of all, stop distorting the Holocaust. And these people are, the media, and not us, obviously, the media, but media, social media and things like that, people can write whatever they want.
Right. Now, before we dive deep into some of the distortion, I would also like to figure out where do you think this sentiment is coming from, this kind of anti-Semitic hatred?
Now? Literally right now or in the past? That's my next question for you.
I think maybe a little bit of both. I'm more curious about the present, but I feel like we do also have to go a little bit into history to lead the lead up to where we are at the present.
Oh, you do ask difficult questions, don't you? So, first of all, I don't want to get into politics, but all I am going to say is current world politics are fueling anti-Semitism. Okay, I'm not saying which side and whatever, but let's just leave it at that. Current politics are making it worse. I'm sorry, but it's fact, right? And that's also fueling a lot of hatred, which is what we see in the past. So much hatred towards a nation, people have got to blame someone at the end of the day. I mean, in Germany in the 1920s, during the financial crashes, I mean, it was horrific. Also after the Treaty of Versailles, they had to blame somebody. And who are they going to blame? They're going to blame the Jews, because they're an easy target to blame. And unfortunately, this doesn't just happen in Germany. It happens in Hungary, and it happens in Austria, and it happens in so many European countries in the 1920s and 1930s, that this hatred is just being fueled further and further and further. How can we combat it? I don't know. Can we? That's my question.
Well, I think one of the ways we could perhaps combat it is to try to dispel some of the distortion. So I'm going to be honest, originally I was a little bit worried about touching on this topic, because I also feel like sometimes people distort explanation as exoneration, but I also do believe sunlight is the best disinfectant. So let's maybe touch on some of these distortions, some of these narratives that people have surrounding the Holocaust, and you can help me understand why these are not really true. We okay with that?
That's a great subject.
All right.
You're going to get me fueled right up, so hit me. Go for it.
All right. So, one of the things that we do see a lot is questioning the number of victims that actually suffered during the Holocaust. And I know you are personally very passionate about this topic. So can you tell us why the 6 million is not only true, but, well, not that exaggerated?
Oh, my jaw's just been clenched. I don't know if people have seen, my anger levels are rising. So I have had instances where people say to me, how is it possible that 6 million people, 6 million Jews got gassed in Auschwitz? I'm like, whoa, hold on. First of all, 6 million people did not die in Auschwitz. You've got to look at it from another perspective. Not only people are being murdered in a factory setting in Auschwitz, number one. We're talking about over 900,000 Jews compared to the 1.1 million. So we're talking about majority of people that die in Auschwitz are Jewish, right? Number one. They don't all get gassed, by the way. You don't gas over 900,000 people. They die of starvation because the conditions in Auschwitz are horrific. Not just that, people are being shot left, right and centre. We know about Baba Yar. I mean, thousands of people die there. Another thing, people don't realise that in Majdanek, over the space of one day, 18,000 Jews are shot. Okay, that is a lot of people, 18,000 people. Not just that, you've got Einsatzgruppen making its way into Soviet Russia, into Belarus, into Ukraine, into Lithuania, Latvia, murdering people left, right, and centre. Ghettos, another example. The Warsaw Ghetto, thousands of people die of starvation. I mean, you take away food, you take access to medication and medicine, you take away their dignity, people are going to die. Left, right and centre. So at the end of the day, it's not just 6 million people get gassed just magically like that. A lot of these people die through other methods, and they're very cruel and disgusting and horrific ways to die.
Right. A lot of people question the methodology being used. It seems unnecessary, cruel to a point that it is almost comical. How would you respond to that?
Like I said, you really are pushing my buttons today, aren't you? Right, so the gassing process isn't just we're magically going to gas people. That's an idea that just came to our heads. That is another process, and I think you're going to have to give me another 35 minutes to sit and explain this, but I'm going to do this really, really quick and really, really short. So gassing process is something that they learn from. So we'll use Auschwitz as an example. Very quick, very easy example. They begin by gassing the sick and the Soviets in Block 11. So that's the prison within a prison. In the basement, they block up the windows, block up the doors. They just throw some Zyklon B in. It's like, yeah, let's try some stuff out. Throw the Zyklon B in, close the doors, thank you very much. Oh, wait, they're still alive after 12 hours? Oh, well, we'll throw in some more Zyklon B. Then, unfortunately, the people die, but it becomes really difficult because you have to carry the bodies up the stairs, then you have to strip the bodies, then you have to put them on in the crematorium. It doesn't work. So they make it much easier. They start gassing them in crematorium 1. That becomes a little bit not helpful because the prisoners can hear it, people on the road can hear it, so they move it to Birkenau. So it's basically this process of, I'm learning, let's make it better. And that is how we get from gassing 700 Soviet prisoners of war and 250 Poles to mass gassing thousands of people at one time.
All right. Like I said, this is a topic that we can unpack endlessly, but we do have a very little bit of time left. And in the last minute, can you help us understand what are some of the Holocaust history that are most at risk of being misunderstood by younger generations, and perhaps what could be done to combat it?
The biggest thing is people like you and me, and probably most of the people in the studio, have had access to being able to meet a Holocaust survivor. They are dying rapidly. We have half a dozen left, same as any sort of people that witnessed the war. We don't have these people to be able to communicate with. That is the biggest issue, because we have had that access to sit and talk to these people.
Right.
They don't. They see it on TV, and they are so disconnected, so disconnected. You see this when they go to places like Auschwitz, and they're just like, oh, well, yeah, whatever.
Right.
They cannot connect, and we need to find, and I cannot answer this question how it can be done. We need to find a way to be able for them to connect and understand exactly where they are.
Right, and understanding through conversation. Thank you so much for your input and insight. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being with us on TV.
Thank you.
Yes. And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.